Yeah, what's happening, everybody? I recognize it's been a little while since I've shot one of these videos, so I thought it would be cool as a jump off point and way to dive back into these weekly videos. I wanted to explore the notion of creativity equals freedom because anybody that's been tracking the trajectory of my YouTube videos in the past 6 months will be very aware of a lot of the challenges and obstacles that I've been facing in both my personal life and also out in the world, in the workplace, and just in life generally. I'd like to think I've been pretty transparent and honest and open about that on my videos. However, when I think about all of those things, as I was sipping on my morning coffee this morning and watching the sun burn outside my bedroom window, every time I started thinking about the problems and the challenges that I'm facing in my personal life at the moment, it always circles back to the same source for me, which is creativity equals freedom. And creativity will be my way out of all of this. So I wanted to explore that today because I can't express enough the importance, guys, that we all create something for ourselves. And I think the best and most simplest way to do that for all of us is instead of when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is check your phone and you look at your emails and you check text messages and you check TikTok or you go on Instagram, instead of doing that, remove that entirely from your daily morning habit, and instead you sit at a blank page and you write down the first thoughts that come into your head when you wake up, and you express the first feelings that you feel when you wake up, or the first idea that comes into your head. You write all of it down and you spend 10 minutes of your morning every day doing that. And that should be the first actionable task of your day before you do anything else. I can't express, guys, enough the importance of doing this because it's just a great way to get your brain going and to expand one's imagination. And it could also be you grab your guitar and you just start playing it. And you start exploring the first things that come into your head. And it doesn't have to be very good. It could be the most shittest, rubbish idea. The main fact and the main point is that you get moving on it and you start creating for yourself. Or you grab a piece of canvas if you're a painter and you just start painting for 10 minutes. The first things that come to you. It's about creating something for yourself. And every time I was thinking about this morning, over my morning coffee, a lot of my challenges, I really do feel like creativity is going to be my way out of this, because it's having something for yourself. And if you're going to a job every day, let's say you have a typical office job where you're inputting data into a computer screen, or you're looking at spreadsheets all day, or you're being micromanaged by some chump in a shirt and tie who has no idea what he's doing. He's just a complete lamb. But his boss above him has decided that, yeah, he's the man for the job. he's the best man for this job because maybe he's good at following orders. Maybe he's being good. He's good at being told what to do. You know, he doesn't think for himself. That is not somebody you want to aspire to be like. You want to be someone that thinks for themselves, who has their own ideas, who can express themselves through their feelings and different forms of creativity. I can't explain how important that is. So I highly endorse everybody that's listening today to grab themselves, ideally, an A5 sized notepad like this. The smaller the better. And you just start writing. Because by having a smaller notepad, you're reducing the frame. You are reducing the frame. And you are forced to work with what you have and pay attention and pay close attention to the smaller details. You have to be more creative with what you have. And that's the point of having the smaller notepad, is you have to pay close attention to the details and you have to work within smaller perimeters, forcing you to be more creative with what you have. So do that every day as a daily practice, and I promise you guys, not only is it really good for your mental health, it will lead to really cool ideas long term. And it also gives you a lot of purpose too. Another thing I wanted to lay out about that is this channel. If you look at all of the videos that I posted and the stories that I've shared, all of them in some way circle back and are connected to creativity. And I'll give you a very good example of when creativity has served me in the workplace. Around 7 years ago, when I worked for the commercial audio brand Bose the first time, part of my job is I had to go into one of the London airport stores and I had to increase store product sales for the brand in one of our airports. And I remember there was a time when we were in the depths of February and the airport was really quiet. And I was having team meetings with management about how we were going to increase store sales for our products because there was very low footfall and there wasn't very many people traveling and our sales were really low. And it's not like, you know how it is, guys, if you've worked in sales or retail or something like that, it's not like you can just magically, click your fingers and customers will appear. You have to work with what you have. And I remember having this idea in order to kind of generate some interest around the brand and to try and increase product sales for Bose in the airport. I remember thinking, well, I know the airport, they have live entertainment. They have a music license. And you can practically, if you go to the right people at the airport and you speak to the right people and you go through the right channels, you can set up live performances in the airport for commuters and people traveling through the airport, going to various places around the world, whatever. So I said to management, well, why don't we set up a gig in the airport? I'm a musician. The airport's quiet. To raise some brand awareness and to try and drive traffic into our stores, why don't we set up a gig and I will use our music Bose equipment as the sound source for the gig. So not only does it promote the brand, it also showcases our products and our equipment. So I set up a gig and I performed live and I played live as a musician in the airport as a promotional vehicle to drive people into our stores. And what we did simultaneously to increase store sales is I said, we can advertise discounts on certain products. So when I'm playing the gig, I can advertise, we're going to have 10%, 15% off these certain products in our stores. You just pick up a leaflet today, you go to our store, and you'll get the discount. And that was just a way of me using what I have to think outside the box and to kind of increase revenue and product sales for the brand. So that was another way I can use as creativity again has come in and it's equaled freedom. It solved the problem. And again, it's we all use creativity in the workplace on a daily basis, whether we realize it or not. Anytime we're trying to solve a problem, we are being creative. But my main point of today's video is it's about doing it as a daily practice. Because I guarantee if I didn't journal every day and if I didn't pick up my guitar, then I probably wouldn't have had that idea for the airport gig performance. It probably wouldn't have come to me if I didn't do it as a daily practice. So that's the moral of that story there, guys. You have to use what you have, and what you have is enough. But it's important that you create something for yourself and that your nuanced viewing lens of the world around you is really what gives you your unique character. And I can't tell you how radically important that is, especially in today's world of AI, where AI is coming in and it's replacing a lot of mid-level jobs through automation. And it's a challenge that I've had when trying to land the right job in today's job market. And I've talked about that for what feels like an eternity in previous videos. So we're not going to dive into that today. But I just wanted to share that with you. Because it just seems that everywhere you turn right now, there's so much that's out of our control. So it's important that you're able to think and express yourself and be creative. And that's what I would say this channel is about at the core. It's about creativity. And it's about my life as an independent artist walking planet Earth. And I'll be exploring my challenges, things that have gone well, things that haven't been going so well. I'll be sharing loads of stories about the path that my life has taken as an artist so far and where it's going and everything in between. But ultimately, at the core, it's about creativity. Because I don't know if any of you saw the video that I did about me being thrown into a Polish jail on New Year's Eve of 2022 on a trip to Poland to see my good friend Bart. Shout out to Bart if you're watching that. But long story short, there's a whole video on this. But I went out to Poland for New Year's Eve of 2022 to party with my friend. And one of the nights we went out to party, I ended up getting roped. Yeah. Oh yeah. I got roped. Big time. 3 Polish officers handcuffed me, beat me up a bit, and threw me in the back of a van. And I spent 24 hours in a Polish jail cell with my arms and legs bounded by shackles in a blacked out room with no food, no water, nothing. And part of the reason I was able to get released from the jail early, because they were planning on keeping me in there for days, I found out later. They were going to keep me in there for days. And I remember laying there, staring at the ceiling, and thinking to myself, there's absolutely no way in hell I'm going to be spending my New Year's Eve in a blacked out jail cell with my arms and legs bounded by shackles. And given the fact that I was locked in a jail cell, it's safe to say my resources were very limited. But as I'm laying there thinking, how the hell am I going to get out of here? Creativity found a way out. And what ended up happening is I was trying to come up with plausible reasons for the police officers considering releasing me early from the jail. And one reason I thought would be a good one was if I was a diabetic. Because if I was diabetic, it would mean I would need daily medication. So down I went, collapsing to the floor, shaking and mumbling about medication. And long story short, one of the officers came running in and I was rushed to a hospital and I was released early. And then I went out and partied in Poland with my friends. And all was well. But basically, the reason I'm telling you that is, again, creativity was a way of me finding a way out of that situation. It's about taking nothing and turning it into something. So that's another reason why get yourself an A5 notepad and work within those small perimeters, because it forces you to pay closer attention to the details, and you have to get creative with what you have. Less is more. But anyways, moving on from that, another thing I wanted to discuss is think about with this YouTube channel. You could do anything you want, guys. If you know how to use your brain and you can use your words and you know how to express yourself and you are aware of your nuanced outlook on the world around you, you can get moving on anything you want. Say, for example, you really like biking. Yeah? You're really into bikes. And you think, well, how can I get into that? I don't have an audience. I don't know what to do. As long as you have a phone or a laptop, you can start a YouTube channel and you can start making content about bikes. You might have to spend a bit of time researching bikes and making sure you have a script and you know what to say, but you can get moving on that pretty quick. And trust me, guys, I kid you not. The YouTube algorithms are so intuitive, they will find an audience for you over time. People that are really into bikes. And it might take you a while to get good at videos. Like, look at me now. I'm not good at videos. I'm practicing this as we go. And today, there's no script today. I'm very much improvising. I've just hit record and I'm just rolling the tape. And there's a lot of freedom to that, for lack of a better word. But getting back to my point, say you're into bikes, you can start your channel. And the thing is, you don't need to have it all figured out at once. And this is something, guys, I stifle on all the time. This is a big flaw of mine. A big flaw. I always have this tendency to think that you need to have everything figured out at once. That I need to see all of the details of the project. I need to see the whole vision before I can get moving on something. And the problem with that is, as we all know, that's just not how life works. You start small, and then you slowly start to work towards the goal. And this is something I'm actively trying to work on. And it started with my YouTube channel, and it started when I wrote my book, which we will talk more about in future videos. I'll be rolling that out next year. And it also happened with my debut album, which I'm currently recording. And I'm pleased to say there'll be a song out in August. I'll be releasing a song in August from the album. But my point is, I read a wonderful quote yesterday, which I think Mark Manson posted on Instagram. And it was by the great Martin Luther King Jr. And I think it very much summarizes not just today's video, but a flaw that I have with myself that I'm working on currently. And that is, you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. And I just thought that was a very wonderful, fitting reference for someone like myself that struggles to get moving on something. You don't have to have it all figured out, guys. All you need is an idea, a small idea, and you can get moving on that. So for example, with this YouTube channel, I didn't just have the idea to start the channel and go, oh, okay, cool, this is what it's going to be about, this is what I'm going to talk about, this is what all my videos are going to be laid out about, and everything like that. No. I said to myself, okay, Jamie, you want to launch a YouTube channel. What's the first thing you can do to move towards that? The first small actionable step that you can take that moves you closer to reaching that goal of launching your channel. And that was coming up with a name for the channel. That's week one. That's all you have to worry about. You come up with a name for the channel, and that is your task done for that week. And then the second week, you think about what the channel is going to be about. And then the third week, you might think about setting up the channel on YouTube. And then the fourth week, you think about shooting your first video and what it's going to be about. You know? You scale it slowly. And then I kid you not, guys. I mean, look, I've barely got any subscribers at the moment, but that's not stopping me. You use what you have to pay for what you want later. And what you have, guys, is enough. But it starts with you trying to create something for yourself. And it could be by picking up a guitar, or painting on a piece of canvas, or journaling every day for 10 minutes, or reading a book. And once you've read a chapter of a book, write down what you think about the book and how the book and the chapter makes you feel. What do you feel about the book? Pay attention to what you like and what you don't like. I've talked about this before. Another thing you could do, which I sometimes do when I'm thinking about shooting a YouTube video, is when I go on my daily walk, I'll hit record on my voice notes in my iPhone, and I'll just start spilling out ideas for the channel. I'll just start articulating my thoughts and thinking about what I want to talk about that day. What stuff is lighting me up? And then I go from there. You know, you can do any one of those things. They're all very effective, but you do it daily as a practice. And I guess the last thing I'll say is it's just very good for your mental health, and journaling and creating stuff for yourself, it gives you a lot of purpose. Because the main thing I was thinking about this morning before I decided to shoot this video was, well, Jamie, you talk about creativity equals freedom, but creativity hasn't showed up in your bank account yet. I know that sounds hilarious, but I'm not seeing my creativity reflected in my bank account yet, in my finances. I'm not seeing it necessarily in the workplace yet. And it's not made me and brought me the lifestyle that I have always envisioned for myself yet. So does that mean I'm a failure? Does that mean my creativity is not working? Does it mean it's all a waste of time and I should just give up? No. It means you need to stay open. You need to keep being creative and finding new ways to be creative. For me, that could be in writing new songs, or getting in the studio, or working some more on my book, or shooting a YouTube video, or going on a hike, or eating well, dialing in my nutrition, whatever it is. It's about doing it daily and continuing to tune in to your surroundings and tune out. And also stay plugged in. Stay open. And I trust you guys. Trust me. At some point, creativity will start working for you. It's already working for me on a spiritual level. And it gives me a lot of purpose on the days where I am banging my head against a brick wall, trying to figure out why on earth I'm still here and why I keep deciding to get up and put one foot in front of the other. Because I've been experiencing a lot of rejection in the workplace, as you all know. And some days it's enough to bring you to the brink of destruction if you're not careful. And creativity has saved me from all of that. There's some other things I'm pursuing as well, but we will talk about that way later on down the line, because it might not even land. It might not even work out. But the point is, I'm pursuing it with everything I have, with everything in my heart and my soul. And I'm doing it with good intentions. And I'm sure something is going to work out. But anyways, guys, I hope some of that has landed today. I hope some of it is useful. As I say, this channel is about creativity, man. And I'll be sharing more stories about what that's looked like in my life, and when that's shown up, and when it's helped me, and when it's not helped me. It's all connected. So I hope you're having a good day. I hope that was useful. And sorry it was a bit messy, but as I say, I just rolled the tape today. And I just kept it very loose. But I'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe. Get yourself an A5 sized notepad and reduce the frame. Reduce the frame. Work within the smaller perimeters and pay close attention to the details, because by forcing yourself to work within smaller perimeters forces you to be more creative and work with what you have. And what you have is enough. Peace out, guys.